Hey there, and welcome to episode 14 of Jazzy-Bytes, the video game channel where we talk about all things video game related, with me, Jazz. I hope you're keeping well. So for today's episode, I want to show you how you can make your very own video game console. You're only going to need a handful of components for this. Costs are really down on this project. You're just going to need a HD lead, you're going to need a keyboard, you're going to need a mouse, you're going to need some kind of SD card. For the purposes of this video, I'm just using a 4 gig. Most importantly, you're going to need a Raspberry Pi. This is a credit card sized single board computer that was produced by the Raspberry Pi Foundation. Their intention was to introduce basic computing and make it more widespread within schools and schools globally. It's an education device, but it's really versatile. There's so much that you can do with this. If you don't happen to have one, then pop yourself over to raspberrypi.org, go to products, scroll down to the product that you want. As mentioned, I think that a Raspberry Pi 2 is more than adequate for this product. Hit buy now. Wait for a little while, and eventually you will have your very own Raspberry Pi. Now that you've got your Raspberry Pi, you're pretty much all set to go. Enjoy. So the first thing you'll need to do is format your memory card. I'm using SD format of 4 for this particular project. Download Noobs Lite just to make things easier. Again, this is from the raspberrypi.org website. Once it's downloaded, you will of course have to unzip the files, extract them, and hopefully they'll all extract and unpack without any further problems. Once you've done that, go over to the unzipped file, select all of the items in there. And simply copy them over to your SD card. Obviously varying speeds of copying depending on how good a computer that you've got. This may involve some more comic book reading in the meantime. Almost there. Maybe a comic book or two. And again, you're one step closer to the project completion. Pop out your memory card, pop that into the Raspberry Pi, connect all the components that I mentioned earlier. So there's your HD lead being plugged in, USB slots, 50-50 chance of getting that right the first time. And obviously try not to have butterfingers when you're doing this. Popping the Ethernet cable into the Ethernet port as well. And finally, plug in the power supply. Completely forgot to mention earlier, in terms of power supply, you can just use an old Samsung phone charger, more than adequate. Anyway, you should be greeted with this menu. Scroll down to the bottom, you'll find Recall Box, then install it accordingly. I've actually, or hopefully, speeded up the sequence significantly, because the last thing you want to really sit there and do is watch something being installed. Here's some fun facts for you in the meantime. The Raspberry Pi Model 2B Plus has got a 900 megahertz quad-core ARM Cortex-AZ processor and incorporates 1 GB of RAM. It was released in 2015. There have been lots of models ever since, but as I've already mentioned, this is more than adequate for the project. And there you go, here's Recalbox running with just a flavour of the handful of emulators that are included. So there's obviously SNES, there's Master System, Game Boy Advance, all your favourites. I'm not going to go into any detail on how to put your ROMs and backups on this device. It's straightforward enough to just Google and do though. Other than that, just get yourself some sort of nice looking case for the Raspberry Pi. And there you have it. You've got your very own video game console. Incidentally, the same project works really well with the Pi Zero, which is again powerful enough to run all these games smoothly. If of course you don't really fancy making yourself a video game console, you could always consider. You could always build your own robot. You could always make your own weather station. Simply use it as a PC. The list is endless. Either way, guys, take care of each other. I hope this has given you some ideas for some projects of your own. Peace out. I should have mentioned the safety warning. Please don't mistake this for this.